Well, hello. Welcome to Alan's Day. It is Friday night, so I'm done with the work week. Now I get to play in the garage a little bit. Well, no, working in the garage a little bit. First week in April. Weather's not too bad. I can handle that. So I'm trying to finish up all my garage projects before the weather really starts getting nice, because then I don't like being in the garage. But take a guess what we're working on tonight. If you've been watching previous episodes, I've been working on that 99 Jeep Cherokee. This is part 27 of working on this Jeep, getting this thing revived. Technically, it probably should have went to the scrapyard, but since I'm a slow learner, I figured, well, I'll just keep fixing it and upgrading it to get it to where I need it to be. So anyways, let's get this party started. Same old, same old. The walk to the garage, turn some lights on, and get started. We still have the Pete's here. Got a few upgrades I got to do on that yet. Get that off the list. And then the next one is get into here, flip some lights on, and Crusty the Jeep. That's a nickname that my wife gave this Jeep here because it was pretty crusty when we first got it. And it had a little bit of rust on there. And you saw in previous parts how we knocked off a lot of rust. Tonight's project, transmission cooler. Got to get it up underneath here, and here's where I found that it's going to go. Right down into here. So let me get onto the shear, and I will make up a bracket, get that bolted in, and then once this is bolted in, we've got a transmission filter and also a temperature gauge we got to get installed. So just one more upgrade to this 99 Jeep Cherokee. One bracket formed up. Now I got to see if it fits. And just like that, I got a bracket made up. I'll get this bolted on here. I've got some stainless steel fender washers. That'll give a little bit more surface area over the top of these holes here. And on this one hole, I had to take and I put a bend in the brake press for that washer to fit in there. Just a little bit better, give it a little more support. So let me get this all bolted up in there and show you what we got. Another bracket to show you right here. So what I did is bent up another piece of aluminum. We've got to come up with something to hold this filter in place. So this is going to bolt into these two holes here, and this whole thing is going up underneath here. So I've got just a home for it. This little bracket here fits right up into there. And then the filter housing sits right up into here. So you can see I got the filter housing here. I'll get these lines routed here. I've got the cooler routed in right here. We're almost done. I just got to get a couple more fittings. But that's enough for tonight. We'll catch up with you when I get the other fittings. Talk to you guys later. Fittings are in. Amazon came through again. This is what I was looking for. It's a number 6 JCI fitting, and that goes on the bottom of the transmission cooler. It's a 90-degree. I had straight ones, but this 90-degree one here is going to get this hose so it's not sticking down. And once I got this all together, I still got to put a guard underneath here, so everything's going to be hidden up in there. So now that I got fittings in, let me show you what we got going on here. Showed you a little bit about the filter. A little bit of assembly required on this. There's a little bushing nipple that has to go on the bottom side here. And there's a little knurled part on there, watch for that. But it's all in the instructions, and those are very good instructions, lots of pictures, I can handle those. Your filter housing, make sure you got your in and your out identified with the, you're going direct. Now, and it's in the directions, which is pretty good here. You got to come from the hot line or the out line going to your filter, and that's going to go into your in. So if you get that, you'll have that part of it all squared away. And I'll show you the rest as we go here. To find that hot side, well, for one, I looked on YouTube, and they said it's the forward fitting on the transmission. But the second way I did that is you've got your 2 transmission lines here, and I started up and let it run for a while, and I put the heat gun on there, and the hot line, the one with the higher temperature, that was the one coming out of the transmission. That's the one you want to hook to your filter first. So let me get all the Teflon tape on here, get this whole thing assembled, and get it up in there. The next phase of the operation, I've got the housing assembled. I put a good quality Teflon tape on the threads. Just make sure that you don't get any Teflon on the inside where it's going to get sucked into your transmission. You'll have a bad day. Put the sensor wire on here. I got that all set up already. I've got that cut. I'll cut it to length once I get it up in there. Let me get this bolted up underneath there, and we'll go to the next step of the project. We got the cooler up in there, or the filter up in there. Now it's time to cut the line. So we identify this as our hot line, and here's what we want to use to cut that. It's a little tubing cutter. You don't want to go at it with a hacksaw, because otherwise you're going to get those filings on the inside of your hose there. So I'd recommend tubing cutter. Let's see if this works. The line is cut. Now, what has to go on there is this fancy little fitting here. This is a compression fitting, and it slips on top of over the tube. Do not take and put a hose clamp on there without a barb fitting on the end, or it's not going to end well. Don't ask me how I know. Also, hose clamps. Get a good quality hose clamps. The ones that come with the kits, and they're junk. You need something that's a little bit wider, and on the inside it has it's flat in there so it doesn't tear up your hose. I'll get this compression fitting put on here, and we'll move on to the next fitting. Still at it on the getting the transmission cooler and filter in there. I had to make a parts run. Didn't have all the right parts. What a surprise. Now I'll get her all buttoned up in here, and any place that there's a line rubbing or a hose rubbing, you got to take care of that. And right now there's some rub marks on the side of the oil pan and this line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little sleeve over the top of that, and this is sort of my go-to. I just take a piece of hose. This is just a piece that came off extra transmission line here, and take my Bostic, and I just put a little bead of, take my Bostic and I just put a little dollop in this, inside of this little rubber hose here, and then I'll use that as a little band-aid, and I will take and stick that in any spot that it's rubbing. Now, I got to do this in a couple of spots on there, so I'll get these in, and we're going to get this wrapped up. So the last couple of zip ties go in, and we got her wrapped up. So here's what I do on when I got two hoses that are going, or wires that are crossing one another. I'll put one zip tie around here and one right here. I will tighten this one up right here, and then tighten this up. And what that'll do is it'll leave you a gap between the two lines or wires so that they're not rubbing. You can't have rubbing wires. It doesn't work. We got her done. Let me just go over briefly, and then I'll be done talking about transmission coolers and filters. So what you've got is you've got the hot coolant coming out of the transmission. It goes through the filter. It goes from the filter through the cooler right here. And then from the cooler, it goes back around and it goes back up into the radiator. So what that's doing, it's a couple things. One, we're adding more capacity to the system. It's pre-cooling the transmission fluid before it goes into the radiator, so that your radiator can do a better job of keeping this beast cool. That's a big problem with these Jeeps. They get pretty hot under the hood, and if we can take the heat out before it gets there. So if somebody's working on one of these Jeeps, or any other vehicle you want to put a transmission filter on, this is the transmission filter kit that I get. I put these on quite a few vehicles already. So here's the brand, and then the part number for this, and then the cooler that I used on here is a 687 Hayden. They've got all different varieties, but I think that's a good combination for this. That's enough talking about coolers and filters. I will get the gauge hooked up in there, and then we will work on, I got to get a guard to cover this whole bottom. So I'll show you that, and we can call this a win and be done with this project. The last piece of the puzzle on this cooler filter project here, put a guard on there. So just a simple guard, formed it up out of aluminum. It's pretty straightforward. It's not for rock crawling. Hopefully we won't run into any rocks. The only thing I got to do yet is put the gauge in there, and we're done. So thanks for sticking around. We're going to find something else to do, either on the Jeep, hopefully not for a while, or we got some other stuff cooking here. So talk to you guys later. Thanks. Thank you for watching Alan's Day. Life is about making choices. Some things are already perfect. Some things you may choose to upgrade. This channel will show you both. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks again.